Alaska here, look. And I think I'd like to agree with Senator Darragh O'Brien, and I commend him for the measured and constructive criticism that he has levelled against the government. I think that's the job of a robust and good opposition. And I think every government should be held to account, and that's important. And I would like to address the issues he raises and also put forward some points from the government side. I think it's in the best interest of the House that in doing so that I ignore the Senator from Meath's obsession with stag hunting. I don't know what that's got to do with anything, but it surfaces every day, and I think he needs to get it looked at, to be honest with you, whatever it is.
Retaining his seat, Senator.
But no, the situation is that it is important on the first anniversary of government and of the Senate formation to look at this, because I don't think for a second that the Labour Party, Fine Gael, or indeed this government has a monopoly on good ideas or on good policy and on good outlook. For instance, I'd like to commend Micheál Martin, I think, for something that the country will be eternally in his credit, was the smoking ban in the workplace. No one can take that away from him, and no one can take that away from the last government. I think the benefits and the dividends to the public health and to the public purse will be there as a strong and proud legacy for generations. Also, I note, like my colleague, Senator Bradford, I too took an earnest interest in the ongoings at the Fianna Fáil Ardèche, and I commend the strong input in Micheál Martin's speech in his defence of small rural schools. It's a matter that I share with him, and it's a concern that I will continue to bring to the attention of the Minister and of Government. And I think it's also a matter that I've discussed with the incoming President of the GA, Liam O'Neill, a Laois man himself, who is the principal in a small rural school, Minister, 35 pupil school, which is at the heart of the community. And I think, to be fair to Fianna Fáil, they've always been to the vanguard on the issue of rural Ireland, and I commend them for that, and it's something I share a common purpose in that regard. Also, the question of small businesses was raised in Micheál Martin's speech at the Ardèche, and I think the small business person, the self-employed person, deserves all our support and any assistance we can give them. And while I will note this, is that while absenteeism remains a big problem in this country and a huge burden on the taxpayer, estimated, Minister, at 550 million per annum, at a time that we can ill afford it, I don't think the small business sector are the problem, and I don't think it should be the burden of that problem should be led at their door. But after those points, it's there I diverge in a substantive way from the opposition motion, which reads more like a fiction than any sort of meaningful address and any meaningful assessment of the government's performance. In fact, Bertie Ahern himself would be proud of the creative aspects in the motion. In fact, I'm sure it would qualify for tax exemption. It's so creative and so fictional. Like for instance, like everyone else in public life and like the public at large, I believe that we all await with bated breath the imminent publication of the Mahon report, because it, in a sense, will punctuate a chapter in Irish public life and Irish political history. And I think it is important that this government, as well as the last government, are held to account when the time comes. And that will be part of that process. And I look forward to the publication of the Mahon report and its findings. And I think, for my money, it's worth every penny it cost to get us there, because you can't put a price on accountability and a free and fair democracy. So I think it's very important. The reality is that if you look back at the Ardèche, colleagues, the juxtaposition of the queues of people down the road in Ballsbridge, queuing up at a jobs fair to emigrate, that in itself is an indictment and a landmark moment and a picture which will resonate with Irish families for years to come. Like so many other Irish families, my own family and my own children have been forced to emigrate, and we all know what it's like. No one can pull rank on that. But I agree with Senator Catherine O'Reilly from the Sinn Féin party. I don't believe it's a lifestyle choice. I don't believe it's something that you do just to gather the experience. And to be fair, we all know who coined that phrase first, the former Taoiseach, Mary Coughlin. Or they were going off on a gap year for fun, for the experience. I don't believe that. In fact, 252,000 people have been forced to emigrate out of this country since 2008. And I turn to my good friend, the economist Konstantin Guriev, for those figures. So, I mean, I don't think anyone can think I'm pulling them out of the sky. But the reality is that I don't think it's a lifestyle choice, and it's a far more serious matter. And I think many of those young people and families would prefer to stay here in this country. And the reality is they don't have the choice and they don't have the option, but I don't know a single one of them who lays the blame at this government's door. We have to be given a chance, to address these issues. I see in the Fianna Fáil motion there's a call to reopen the army. Sorry, Carla?
1 minute.
Thank you very much. To reopen the army barracks. That's a very interesting one. Why don't we reopen all the army barracks that Willie O'D closed when he was Minister for Defence, including the one in Kildare Town that's grown boucalons, that's a campus for antisocial behaviour, that's a redundant eyesore in the middle of the town. So the reality is, if we're going to be constructive, also let's be consistent. Do you know what I'd like to see reopened? I'd like to see the Fruitfield plant reopened. I'd like to see the Jacobs factory opened. The sugar factory in Carlow. The sugar factory in Carlow, which Mary Compton sold out.
Senator
And the
Whelan,
reality is, it's absurd that we're importing sugar into an agricultural country from Germany. And those are the kind of jobs that this government's going after in its policy, Harvest 2020. Minister Coveney, Minister Sean Sherlock, and we will restore those jobs. I also want to touch on briefly Thomas Stig.
Yeah. I give you 10 seconds to wrap up, sorry.
You're very kind. What I want to say in relation to the household charge and in relation to the endeavours of the Minister for the Environment, Phil Hogan, who's taken strong and robust initiatives in the area of local government and the funding of local government, is that you cannot speak out of both sides of your mouth. You cannot speak with forked tongue. You cannot. It is in the Sinn Féin motion, Senator. The reality is that you cannot have strong local government, strong local services, playgrounds, parks, good roads, good lighting, fire stations, and tell people not to pay their household charge. It's immoral and it's wrong. And I'm grateful for your accommodation, Carla. Thank you.